Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks everyone for joining. I'll give a few minutes for anyone else to join on. Thanks again, thanks again. Yeah, yeah, sir. Big up yourself, sir. One time, two time. Love alone. Okay, good. Things looking good. Okay, yeah, we looking solid. We looking solid self, yeah. Solid as a rock. Yeah. So yeah, once again, thanks everyone who on the live so far for joining. I really appreciate you all taking the time. You know, yeah, you could be anywhere on your Monday. You come from work, had a long first day of the work week, and you decide to share your time with me. And don't worry, I can make it worthwhile. Trust and believe. I will be always sharing insights and inspiration and just upliftment and motivation. When you're feeling down, you could always come on All Over It podcast to feel a little better. Promise you that. But yeah, we here today. We're going to be talking about agriculture, which anybody who know me know that's something near and dear to my heart. Yeah, yeah, just have to get a throat ready. But yeah, like I mentioned, agriculture. Today is all about agriculture. That's what we're going to be talking about. For anyone who was on the live last week, you'll know that last week I touched on my trip to Borneo, whereas I was invited to an agricultural conference which was hosted by the DC Alpha, which is the Dutch Caribbean Agriculture, Livestock, and Fisheries Alliance. I'm going to dive deeper into the organization in this episode. I am going to show the website of the organization, which they launched last week. I mean, during the conference. And yeah, just touch on the conference, what all I saw, what all I learned, touch on St. Martin agriculture. Of course, I'll give a little short intro or bio about me and my involvement in agriculture. And yeah, just on a whole, talk about agriculture, St. Martin, where we stand, the vision, and just let people know that although people feel like nothing happening in the agricultural sector on St. Martin, let you know that things happening. I see it myself firsthand. So yeah, we can dive into all of that. But as per usual, of course, I gotta welcome my people. Big up, shout out to Mary Williams who on the live. Big up, Sir Tembo. YOLO Studios. If you need any video, Sir, just in case you guys didn't know, the 1 minute video that I actually have posted on my YouTube, which I used during my campaign, was done by Serve and Yolo Media Studios. So just letting you know, good quality, good production, great team to work with. But yeah, we here, we here with it. Anybody else who there, just send a little comment in the chat. Leave us know you're there. Leave us know you joined in. But yeah, so like I say, today agriculture. That's what it's all about today. And bottom line for me, I grew up in that. For those who know me, know that me, my family are agriculturalists. But those who don't know, I just have to educate them. So it has been interesting to hear people talk about agriculture in St. Martin. Even those who are in the agricultural realm, people who are, let's say, farmers or backyard farmers or just hobbyists, whichever one. You know, sometimes people share some sentiments that make you laugh. Some people, they say, yeah, St. Martin can't grow things, or like things can't grow in St. Martin. But that specific statement amazes me because I'm like, okay, if that's what you feel, then you walk around St. Martin with your eyes closed because impossible. Like when I driving around St. Martin or even in my neighborhood, like all the vegetation and the lushness of the land is I don't know how anybody could watch that and say, yeah, nothing could grow here. Like people say, yeah, the land or the dirt is no good and nothing can grow because the soil no good, but you could increase the soil health. They have things that you could do, practices that you could follow that will increase the health of the soil in the sense of make the soil more, what's the best word to use? More fertile. That's the best word. Tillable. To make it more usable, for a simple choice of word. Many people don't know that honestly, when you go and clear a piece of land and you remove the whole top layer, whereas you remove all the topsoil and you reach to like the clay, the underneath layers, of course, it's gonna be more difficult for a plant to grow. Rightfully, when you like go in the bush or like in the jungle, in the forest, then it is lush, leaves falling, the ground is covered, like I tell people simply like this: when you have your ground barren, in the sense of like uncovered, of course it's gonna get depleted and beaten by the sun. Like I say, just like us, when you outside in the sun and you out in the sun all day, the sun beating on your head, you wish you had a hat, right? As soon as you can, you go look for some type of shade or some type of cover to cover your head. It's the same thing with the plants, the same thing with the soil. The soil, after it get baked from the sun, direct sun, over however long period, it loses its fertility, and it's up to you to cover it, add like organic material. So that's why most people talk about like composting, or like you'll take like mulch or even sawdust. All of these things help with ground cover and help with soil health, because then your ground is not fully exposed to the weather and the elements. Good night, Jay Williams, hailing from Toronto, Canada. Blessings, cousin Viva. Thanks for joining. Blessings, cousin Roberto. Thanks for joining. Yeah, we are diving into the agriculture here, talking about the myths that people believe here on St. Martin when it comes to agriculture and planting, and how people say that the ground can't produce nothing in St. Martin, that nothing can grow. When all up to now, right now is mango season. All over St. Martin, mango trees loaded with mangoes, loaded in numerous districts, not just one area. You go, like I say, in mid region, Defiance area, you go St. Peter's for sure, loaded, Soccer Garden, up Ebenezer side, of course. If you want to talk about French side, don't go Columbia, because then you just have to hold your head with all the amount of mango trees you're seeing. Same for breadfruit. I could say for one, I love breadfruit with all my heart. I love a breadfruit. And I started to notice breadfruit trees all over St. Martin as I would drive around. And like I said, people say things can't grow here, things ain't growing here, but things growing. St. Martin lush, yes. We does be dry, like we don't have we drought periods, whereas we don't get no rain for a few weeks, maybe a month, 2 months, or so on. But we don't have no long extended dry periods. Like when I was in Borneo, we went to different farms and things, whereas I didn't touch on all of those things a little later. But one thing that stood out to me, I like I mentioned in the last episode, I understand that Borneo closer to the equator, so it's a more drier, like a desert, arid island. But it was amazing to see and hear. Firstly, to see, we went to a farm, a farm, whereas it was different parcels, different people have different things they was doing. And what stood out to me, I saw like a small scale dragon fruit farm, which dragon fruit is a cactus, so it grows well in arid and desert like climates. But still, it was amazing to see, like the dragon fruits, that was nice, green and lush, but it was amazing to see the how dry the dot was, like at that specific area, the dot was so dry, the cracks was like maybe this big. Like like honestly, like jokingly, I was saying I afraid I fall into one of these cracks into the earth because of the big cracks. And I like, wow, that to show you like how dry it is in Borneo. On top of that, one of the guys mentioned how in Borneo, yes, yes, blessings, blessing. Look, talk about Borneo, gonna live long. My boy C. Lawrence, big him up one time from Borneo. He have a nice farm to table set up down there. Yeah, 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 yeah. Mulch is a necessity. You gotta cover your ground cover, ground crops, cover crops. Sorry, let me correct myself. All these things is necessary if you want to increase your soil health, to see longevity in your soil. I like people complaining about carbon dioxide and CO2 and all of that. Like, we learn from small. Plants uptake CO2, they love CO2, that's what they live off of, just like how we live off of oxygen. They live off of CO2, they uptake that and give off oxygen. So the more plants we plant, it's simpler. 1 plus 1 equals 2. The more plants you have, the more vegetation you have, the less CO2, the more oxygen you have. So you could breathe better, and you could lessen the impact of global warming and the greenhouse gases and whatnot. There is literally a video which I shared on one of my pages talking about carbon sequestration, whereas they call the video carbon farming, whereas they talk about how these people are planting trees and monitoring the uptake of carbon dioxide by these trees, and monitoring how these plants are pulling in the carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and pulling it down to the roots, and just like kind of burying it down in the earth, like back down where it came from, let me say like that. So combating global warming, bottom line, to say, to just cover that up in a nutshell. And they have big companies spending millions, billions of dollars trying to recreate this by, let's say, setting up like machines and contraptions that pull the CO2 out of the atmosphere, and then they trap it in like a container or a tank, and then now they bury it. So they have like buried tanks or capsules that they have buried down in deep, deep, deep down into the earth, for them to now send the CO2 back down into the earth. So millions, billions of dollars spending to do that. Whereas the tree is doing that for us for free. All we need to do is plant more. And what we doing? Cutting down the trees, chopping down more trees, which, don't get me wrong, I all for building and advancing and just complete, let me say, community and country level advancement. I'm all for it. I'm all for, okay, I have a piece of land, I want to build my house on it, and, you know, have a shelter for my family. Maybe I might expand my house, maybe I might build another addition some on one side, or build a piece of apartments. I all for that. Totally, I promise you that. But understand, we could build and advance our real estate and construction sector, while also in tandem advancing our agricultural sector and advancing planting and let's say combating our global warming issue by utilizing plants for that. Because we gotta be honest, plants, trees, all of it, amazing. Agriculture on a whole, nature, Like you can't have no culture without agriculture. Culture is in the name, and even back to the beginning of time, God put man in a garden. Why? Because that's the ideal environment for us. Like tell the truth. Anybody who here that have a garden could attest to this. When you go in your garden and you see something growing, let me say maybe you plant a pineapple or some pepper or banana, whatever it is. When you see that thing growing, it does warm your heart. It does make you feel so good. Like it does really uplift you. If you're feeling down, when you feeling negative, things been harassing you, things been stressing you, and you go in your garden and you start digging and you start pruning or you start just touching the plants, digging your hand in the dirt, it does bring an upliftment and a positive feeling over you, which that is actually proven. There is scientific studies that proves when you put your hand in some dirt, serotonin is released, which that is the part of your body that brings joy and happiness. So that's straight up proven study that when you go and do something agricultural related, it makes you feel better. Agriculture is like therapeutic. It's serene in a serenity when you in that environment. Blessings, Diana. Thanks for joining. And when you're in that environment, it brings you inspiration. It agriculture advances economy, because when you grow something, yeah, you have for yourself, but when you have surplus and abundance, now you could go sell so you could make some money for yourself. Like also it brings unity, because now first of all in the agricultural sector, the the people, agriculturalists spread love, is loving people, and it's hard to find hate among the agricultural realm. Like there is, but it's hard to find. It's few among many. But yeah, it got so much benefits with agriculture, and that goes for planting and fishing and livestock, everything. So that's another thing. That's another misconception. People, when they hear agriculture, they just automatically think crops and farming, but agriculture really encompasses the three sectors, which is agriculture, livestock, and fisheries. You see, Roberto said, I spend every day and mostly in the weekends in gardens, as well as countryside, nature of various types of fruit plants and flower trees. And I promise you, he'll say it brings a positive feeling over you. If you're a person like going through turmoil or depression or just a heavy anger, when you see these flowers blooming and the fruits farming and growing from a little bud to like a big humongous soursop or a sugar apple or whatever it is you plant, same for the mangoes. You see a flower come, and then when the flower gone, you see a little something come out left, and then over time it grow and grow and grow until you get a mango big like your hand, maybe big like your head. It's amazing to see the growth and the resilience. Like resilience, talking about resilience. When you, okay, let me rewind. After Irma, the place was devastated. mash up. St. Martin was horribly devastated, and up to now, I see trees and what are big trees and different things that got destroyed, that just, let me say, like it lay down, and now it just decide it turn its head up, and now it going up straight. So like it's still down, but it decide, okay, you gonna stop me. I can still do my thing. It just checking, okay, but like that way I going up, and like I think that the most beautiful one I see was a flamboyant tree in Dutch Quarter. I'm telling you, if you see the size of the trunk of the tree maybe 100 years old, real talk. Like it's so big, and yeah, obviously it fell down during Irma, and yeah, the tree just say, you know what, over where it fell, like the top of where it fell, it just sent another shoot from there, and how I see it, it probably just sent down some roots there where the head of that part that fell is, and yeah, now it's growing back in its resilient state, and just they are doing its thing, and I'm like, it's amazing. It's amazing to see how these plants overcome adversity. And even for me, I just say, I got this line I just say sometimes, I laugh in the face of adversity, Meaning like when things try to come and keep me back or keep me down or deter me from anything I want to do, I laugh in the face of it because it can't stop me. You know? Resilience, resourceful, making it happen. Yeah, 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 yeah. And yeah, it's, I see the same thing in these trees and these plants. Like I say too, everything is connected, and I see a lot of similarities in like us as humans, and let's say like things from like nature, whether it's plants, whether it's animals, like observing like our chickens, or even observing how like goats or pigs or cows, and these different animals does operate and live their life, the principles that they follow, like obviously, the intuition and all these things. You see a lot of similarities between them and us, which like a lot of people say, most of the things we have or we do comes from an animal. Like let's say a liver comes from an animal, crowbar, all these things. Like bottom line, a lot of the materials or tools, or different things we have come from inspiration from nature, whether it be animals, whether it be trees and plants, however it is. Because like I say, when you watch a plant grow, you can't help but feel inspiration, because it's like, how you do that, how you send that okada, like how you had like just a stick like this, and then you just send a leaf over there, and now a leaf turn into a branch, and it's like, wow, how you do that? And then it make you feel like, no, I could make things happen, I could make something out of nothing as well. So like I say, resourcefulness, resilience, it just make you feel like, no, get up and do it, get up and go out there and make it happen, because if a plant that can't move, that reliant on God's grace and maybe our implementation or our assistance, if they could do it, how can we not? You know? Read that. You see, look, Roberto say again, glad you mentioned livestock as well. And your dad knows that we came from generation of butchers. Exactly. Grandfather Alec the butcher, which they have a statue on St. Martin of. And don't forget that livestock lives from the land as well, meaning agriculture. Yeah, exactly. Like he mentioned, Alec the Butcher is a very prominent, legendary figure here in St. Martin for those who not familiar. And Alec the Butcher is actually the brother of my great. I can't remember if it's great or great great. I think it's just great. I want to make sure I give you the right info. But yeah, my great grandfather. So Alec the Butcher is like my great uncle. No, my great great uncle. Correction. Correct. So my father's mother, father. Right. So my grandmother, great grandfather. So that's great grandfather. Okay, good. Just making sure I'm on the right track with that. You can't be giving wrong information. None of that. But anyways, so yeah, as mentioned, Alec the Butcher, he's known as Alec the Butcher because he was known for his large, large amount of livestock. He had all kind of different things, whether goat, cow, sheep, all kind of things. And moving down now, even my grandfather on father's side was the same way. My grandfather used to have goats, used to have cows, used to have all kind of things, and he had like a slab. So for those who not familiar, it's like kind of like think of like a small lake. So like a small body of water, which because it doesn't have any movement, moss and algae collects at the top, and that's what they'll use to, let's say, allow their livestock to drink water. Sometimes they'll use it to water the plants as well, but mainly for the livestock. My father tell me how much stories about how, yeah, exactly, a pond. Thanks. Sure, exactly, a small pond. But I guess I would say your own personal pond in your backyard. So, yeah, because St. Martin, we got a lot of ponds, but like big ponds. But the slab is like a freshwater pond in your backyard. So, I guess thanks for that quick help. Let me say like that. Which, yeah, even Kaylin, big up Kaylin one time, she'll be familiar because even though she's from the United States, I was just gonna say, even though she's from the United States, she would be familiar because back where she is from, they actually have like land and cattle and so even she grew up in that as well. So yeah, like I telling you, like it makes you feel good, like let me say, like when you was a livestock farmer, as a child or as a grown adult, when you, let me say, you got your chickens or you got your cow, and your cow make offspring, and you feel good, you chicken, wow, I got a new baby, and it it make you feel like, yeah, you know you just want to care for it, so it comes like your own baby, honestly. Like even me, I've had experiences whereas some of our chickens had gotten sick, and I had to. Which grandfather? You mean Rufus? If you mean Rufus, please leave another comment and let me know if Rufus had a farm too. Well, I ain't gonna lie, that would make sense because Colby, we got farm too, and I know even like my granny, I grew up with things down there too. So thing on one side for me is both sides for me, but being as my grandfather on mother's side passed away before I was born, I ain't too familiar with like all of his operations and me say like that. But you see, if that's the case, make it even better. Big up genial movements, positive vibrations. Love alone, my brother. Thanks for joining, you know. And yeah, it's a family thing, and yeah, you feel good like when like I say, your goat or your cow or whatever it is make a offspring, you checking, yeah, I got a new baby. And yeah, like I was mentioning, I had to kind of coax some of our sick chickens a while back. Oh yeah. But that was mentioned. I did mention that Joseph had a farm as well. That was in my grandfather and father's side as well. Had a farm. Apart from Alec the butcher brother, who was also my great grandfather and father's side. Not from Joseph Williams. anyways, I digress. So I had to put a couple of these chickens in the hospital, and every morning I had to go and give them like this medication, which actually we don't have access to medication here in St. Martin, which I added that into a farmer's setback document which I compiled. But what we use is Canadian healing oil. Some might be familiar. It's actually a very good product, and yeah, I would have to get up every morning, go literally hold down the chickens, open up the mouth, pour some of the Canadian healing oil in it, make sure hold up the mouth so that like it don't drop down the mouth and then everything just run out. Like real intensive care, urgent care type hospital, animal farm, animal care type stuff, like, but you get a bond with the animals. And even I remember one of those chickens specifically, like after he ended up getting better, like when he got back to health, like every time I would come up, he'll come jumping out. Like if I open the door of the coop, he'll jump out. He wanna be everywhere I go, he wanna be up under me everywhere I go, and yeah man, it'll make you feel good. Long story short. So anybody who say agriculture ain't good or ain't positive or say Martin ain't have agriculture or whatever, I can't agree to that. Which a little bit of what I'm going to touch on just now going to be like kind of rebuttal or bursting those myths, because I actually had a video I did which I posted some time back where I did an interview with another more elder farmer, and I titled it Bursting Myths, of agriculture in St. Martin, because we were basically talking about how people say like, yeah, they don't have land, or like I say, things can't grow, or all these different things, but is about knowing what to do to deal with your situation, to deal with your circumstance. So everybody's situation ain't gonna be the same, but you gotta know like, okay, this is the situation I'm facing. This is what I gotta do to better the situation, and like I say, just like how we gotta do it for the plants and the garden and whatever, we gotta do the same. It's the same thing for we, like that's all we trying to do. Assess where we stand now, and then try to do better and elevate things moving forward. That's how it is with everybody, with everything, so we go. But one thing I gotta say too before I really start getting into the content I want to share, like the visuals, is you know one thing about agriculture too, it's abundant. Like when you plant a tree, it keep giving back. Once you care for it, once you maintain it how it's supposed to. Honestly, same for fishing. Like one fish lay thousands to millions of eggs at a time. So once we deal with things in a sustainable manner, the ocean gonna always keep feeding us. Livestock the same. Any animal, a chicken, a goat, whatever, a peacock, whatever it is, once you have a male and a female, you could increase. And that's why, let me say, whenever they have endangered species, what they do, they go try capture and keep a male and a female in a safe, secure location for them to breed in safety so that you can continue the lineage and make sure you keep that, you know, species around. Going back to Noah and the ark is the same thing. Remember, God telling, look, one male, one female of each species or animal. And he walked them in two by two. And after everything was said and done, what? All the different species come back out and they repopulate the earth, because once you have a male, once you have a female, you could increase your population. And as with anything, with anybody, with plants, animals, fisheries, whatever it is. Same for the animals, I mean the plants too, sorry. Because even they too have a male sac and a female flower, let's say, which have to combine, have to get fertilized in order for it to grow or put on fruit, seed, provide seeds, you know? So, yeah, agriculture, agriculture. And for me, a lot of people that ask me about what I doing in agriculture and what I have. And I could say I have a little garden that I tend currently. I also have another one by my grandmother's house that my uncle currently tends. And my plan right now is to create a video showing both. So one for home, one for the one by my grandmother's yard. Like I say, being as so much people asked me, why have in my garden and so on, so on. I say, let me make a visual representation, So anytime anybody asks me, I could just tell them, hey, I got this video to show you exactly. I ain't gotta like try remember, okay, I got this, I got that, I got that. I could show you everything one time, one video, bam. And also the idea with that is to express my vision for moving forward. And you know being as once I create a video, I'll have like before and after. So I could show where it at now, and then share my plans to develop it. And then now over time I could share another video and show like, okay, this is where it's at now, to show the progress. So that's my plan. So be on the lookout for those videos, which I already started compiling. It's just to complete the editing. But don't worry, once they finish, I'll for sure share them, promote them, so on. But like I say, apart from that, I have done different interviews where I talk about agriculture solely, strictly. I've done different videos whereas I talk about, let's say, like I mentioned, the interview with the farmer, which my plan is to do a lot more of those. But for those, it has a lot more logistics involved, because you gotta organize with the farmers, time to go, make sure you bring out equipment, different factors. So it is something I do plan to advance and keep doing, to bring awareness to St. Martin's agricultural sector, which I started out on that journey at least a year or two ago. But yeah, content coming. Trust and believe. Flowing like water, like a river. You know? Especially with this podcast, content every week. But yeah, so what I want to touch on here now is, like I mentioned, I had this interview I did with a gentleman by the name of Quinel Ming. So as you can see, his page is unveiling the Caribbean. He does interviews with people on various different topics, so not just agriculture, but yeah, we did a interview whereas I spoke about, you know, various things, my childhood growing up. I talk about this, me playing steel pan, about my early experiences in agriculture, my patriotism of St. Martin. I talk about a lot of things, the identity, education, agricultural sector at St. Martin, encouraging farmers, cost of living, and the issues we face in here with that's concerned, you know, other challenges, different things along those lines, and, close out with kind of a call to action, of course. So what I'll do is I'll share the link for all of these content in the description of the live once the live is completed. So once I finish the live this evening, I will go back and add the links to these different things I'm going to be showing here now, which I already compiled them, just gotta go and put them in, but you gotta do the live first, how the thing goes. Anyways, so yeah, I had this interview I did. Additionally, like I mentioned, I have an all over agriculture page. So this here is YouTube. I have a YouTube page, whereas currently I only have these two bodies of content. Like I said, this one is the Bursting Myths and Uncovering Truths with Noel Simmons, who is a local farmer here in St. Martin. And yeah, me and him really dive into a lot of good information. We talk about how he does like set up he farm, like his spacing. We talk about like his practices and managing and maintaining the garden, like how he to make sure throw like the organic material back in the earth, and a lot of different things we talk about. Hey, big up, big up, big up, my brother Slim. Big up Slim, one time, two time. Hey, good evening, Stephen Tain, a fellow farmer, fellow local farmer. So question, is there a plan to set up a community farm where people get a piece of land to cultivate or raise livestock like chicken? That is a very good question, which I am going to touch on that. I was going to touch on that a little later down, because to kind of give a little prerequisite to that, let me say something that being looked into, even like I mentioned in my last episode, when I went to Bonia, they have that. They have a large body of land. Actually, they have like 50 hectares. They have 50 hectares that they, not the government itself, but the LVV, they purchase, or they have ownership of 50 hectares. And what they've been doing, they parcel it out, and they've been giving portions to interested farmers, and even certain ones who need assistance to get set up, they've been assisting them. So that is something that is being done within the Caribbean, the Dutch Caribbean islands, so within the kingdom, let me say, for better term. Now, our situation here in St. Martin is data, the information, so I would say those things are possible, but where things stand right now is like government, even we as farmers, like even that we say foreign entities trying to do research don't have the data necessary to, let's say, advance things. So, for example, which I was going to touch on this later in the episode, but since we on the topic, I can just touch on it now. For instance, it was mentioned that Curacao now implemented policies and legislation to safeguard local farmers and local production. Specifically, they started with eggs. They assessed the fact that they have a good bit of farmers on Curacao that does egg production and, let's say, has chickens and livestock, and they did an assessment of how much eggs is needed, let's say, on a daily basis in a community. So let's say if they did their assessment and they say, okay, well, people in a community, the shops, the everywhere, people in a community buy in on a daily basis maybe 1,200 eggs, and we know our local, let's say we still talking about Curacao in this example. Let we say we know our local farmers done make doing 1,000. Let we say we could help increase that production to cover the daily production, and then now you create policy and legislation to stop import of eggs now, because okay, you don't need to import eggs because your local farmers are already producing eggs at a scale, you know but now here in St. Martin we don't have the data to say, okay, well, we know on St. Martin people on a daily basis does buy 10 kilos of, let me say, 100 kilos of plantain on a daily basis. You know, we don't have that data. We don't know who doing what to say, like, okay, if we was to put a policy in place or put a legislation to lessen the import of plantain or mango or whatever it is we deem we have here, we don't have the data to say, okay, well, for sure, we know every day we could get 100 kilo of plantain. And now we could go to these importers and lessen the import, So all of that is was necessary now to gather information to know who's the farmers, who doing what could be done on a sustainable level, and how we could get things to a more sustainable level. That's where we at right now, because I feel like a good example, I talk to different farmers too, and they show me, like, in St. Kitts, they have laws like that too, that, let's say, like, when avocado in season in St. Kitts, the stores and shops and markets, whether supermarkets, whatever, cannot import no avocados. If you import avocado, that is wasted money. That going in the ocean will feed the fish. You check, type thing, oh yeah, you pay a fine, but you still get your product, and then you still make your money off your product. So, it's okay. No, in St. Kitts, the people check in, they come to a stance, which I agree with them. You have to take a stance, you have to put your foot down in order to better things for your community, and if you want to gain control over things, because especially in St. Martin, people gonna do what they want. People don't doing what they want. People, you could tell people, yeah, do it like this. This is the procedure it have to go, and people gonna watch you say, yeah, okay, and still go the opposite direction. So you gotta know how you're gonna set up things and what you're gonna do, and bring things in a proper manner so that it could be well done and safeguard the people involved, all across the board, not just the stores, but the farmers, not just the farmers, but the stores, not just government, everybody across the board, the consumer, the supplier, the distributor, the governmental apparatus that handles everything, so like I say, bottom line, we need a structure. We need a full agricultural structured sector. Like I mentioned, even in the interview I showed just now, it needs a Department of Agriculture, which I can say positively there has been movement or progress within St. Martin agricultural sector, whereas there is there has been brought to the table that agricultural agency, which will operate just as a Department of Agriculture, is looking to be formulated, the framework is being formulated, and all of these different things. So things happening, and like I say, that's why I come on here to share. I come on to let people know, people who are interested in agriculture, who here in St. Martin, even elsewhere, that okay, people will say that St. Martin don't have agriculture, but it have. And even now things advancing. So it's going to soon be better than where it is now. So just know, get up and get it. If you know you have any interest in anything agriculture related, whether is you want to start an agricultural business doing, let's say, gourmet mushrooms, or doing microgreens, or if you checking you love planting, that's one thing I checking. I love planting, so I checking planting farm. You know. Same thing, coconut. Coconut selling like hot bread on the markets. All over you seeing people putting up coconut stall. Why? Cause they just want to go out there for fun? No. It's a lucrative business. These people making money. You check. One thing I'll say, I'm proud of my buy from over there, Great Bay. You know, big up Donovan one time, Coconut Crave. From nothing to something. You see the growth, you see the elevation, and it'll make you feel good. Like like I say, you can't see these things and not be inspired. A young boy like that, younger than me, checking, what? Let me set up a little, set up roadside, sell some coconut water, he and his brother, and just elevate. Now he doing things. People know him. People come in there for coconut. The tourists, the everybody come in there because they know coconut water there. And now he elevate himself, talking about plans to expand, to even do other business opportunities. Why? Because thing on the money in agriculture. Look, even my brother, as I call him my uncle, guy used to work with my father, slim blading, big up one time, two time. Shout out to that man. I rate him. Real entrepreneur, real hustler. Go out and get it. Construction vibes he on. Restaurant vibes he on. For Carnival, he come out, he had his own booth where he was doing roast corn and coconut and different things. Up to now, Carnival done? You think he done? No. He out still doing his roast corn, making him money. I rate it. I rate it because what? You can start there a little small, maybe like 5x4 stand. But you gonna grow. And he doing anything. I could tell you that for sure. He ain't just that. I could tell you that. I know that man. And I could promise you he ain't just that. But all of that show you the elevation and the growth. You start from somewhere. Like I say, all of us connected. All of this is connected. We Just like these plants, just like these trees, we start from a seed. You start in your mother womb. God bless my mother one time. And you grow, you grow. She give birth to you and you grow and you grow and you grow. You grow into adult. And then you start yielding harvest. Meaning whether you go work, whether you start a business, you start bringing in finance. You start now bringing back, giving back to what been given you, the environment that you've been placed in that nurtured you into the mature person that you are. You check like I lad. I lad. I can't say no more now. I can leave that there set first and just talk and all night all day, you know. But all of that shows you like the growth and the elevation, just like a business. When you start a business or when you come up with an idea, it start from an idea in here. No? A little inspiration you get, God give you inspiration, say you know what? Like I say, I notice people like coconut water. I got a little space, let me set up there. Or what? I know people like corn. Or I know people like juice, natural juice, or even Contra Cuba. Start from an idea and you manifest it, you work on it, you grow it, and then once you keep working at it, you stay consistent, you stay determined, and you keep nurturing it, watering it. By the time you look back a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4, 5 years, you look back and you say, what? I remember when I had just say I wanted to do this. Look what it be now. I'm making $1 million in a year. Agriculture. Because agriculture is abundant. It don't stop. When you plant a tree, once it start bearing, it don't stop bearing once you keep giving it the right conditions. Once you keep nurturing it and caring for it. It can just keep giving you and giving you and giving you and giving you. Maybe once a year, sometimes multiple times a year, but it can keep giving you. So going back to the information I was sharing, like I say, I have this page, whereas I have this interview I did with a fellow farmer, whereas I have more I plan to do. I already talked to different farmers about coming and doing visits on the garden. Just have to, like I say, organize the logistics. Additionally, I do this video, grow plants faster and healthier organically, whereas I showed some products that I use personally, which I would say I live by, I vouch for. I could put anything on these things: organic, fully organic, no synthetic, no additives, from actually derived from marine life, marine materials. So like kelp meal and fish bone, which is like literally the bone of the fish, like different things from nature, but from the marine ecosystem, you know. And yeah, I talk about how I use it, the different uses it have. Whereas, like I said, I don't usually top dress it, but you could like mix it when you're transplanting. Or they also have compost tea you could do. So for those who are not familiar with compost tea, is like you could take these same dry nutrients, so like it's like a powder type thing, and kind of put it in like a mesh bag, so think on like coffee, but yeah, you put the nutrients in the bag, the mesh bag, and then you put it in your water container, where usually you'll have like oxygen. So usually people will put like a bubbler, like what people use in a small aquarium, to kind of get oxygen flowing. But yeah, you just leave that sit there in that water, and it'll kind of pull like tea, you know. So compost tea. You could even do that with like food scraps from your house. So let's say if you have like skins from different things, you could use those and leave it decay a little bit, in the sense of don't take it fresh as you just cut it and go try put it, leave it decompose a little bit. But yeah, even that you could use, maybe a little less, a little more nasty, but like even those things, like things like that we do here at home. I grew up, we like, when we clean fish, we'll dig a hole and plant the guts next to the trees, whether it's the coconut, whether it's the soursop, whether it's the banana, whichever one. We like dig a hole and bury the fish guts and the scales and the fish water, all of it, and all of that's fertilizer for your plants. All of that's increasing your soil health. Even now I have like some buckets with old food scraps that they are decomposing. I also have one with some old, like, old stale fish we had, from the bottom of the freezer and thing. I put in a bucket with some water and I leave it there for some time. But those things now, rich, those things you gotta like take a little bit and throw in a big container. Yeah, big up yourself one time, mate. And yeah, cause those things will be more rich. So like if you just go take that and throw it and water your plants with that, just so you kill everything, because then it'll have too much nutrients and then it'll just be like, wow, too much food, belly boss. But yeah, so talk about, like I say, organic nutrients that I use from Dr. Earth. I really like that company. I like the mission. They actually been around from like 1991, 1990, so even before I born. But I really like the mission, and honestly I have no affiliation with them, so don't feel like I do. But I decided to make this video to kind of promote what I does use and how I feel about it, and how I do use it and those type thing. Moving on, like I say, I have this agriculture page all over agriculture. So I have the YouTube and a Facebook page, whereas on this one I just like post different things about agriculture. So here you could see I did a agri loan info session with credits. So for those who not familiar, credits now offering a agri loan, which I'm going to dive more deeper into that a little later as well. But as you can see, I was requested to be the presenter for the info session. So this was the second one. We had one in January as well. And yeah, so I'll touch on that a little more later. As you can see over here with the photos, all of these is photos. I post photos from me, whether things out my garden, like these cashew. As you could see, one of our planting had fall, and then we do some doctoring to pick her back up. Resilience. You gotta stand firm, stand strong. A small bunch of some figs, which we still got a fig tree there. I'll now with another one go up and take its place. Pineapple that I grew, whereas I got two right now coming. This was a canistel. This was a fruit I got from someone that was amazing. I need to get one of those plants for myself. I need a canistel tree. So if anybody here, anybody that listen, got a canistel tree, egg fruit, it's also called, or cupcake fruit, which no lie, it's like a cupcake, like the inside texture like fluffy, and when you taste it, it's nice and sweet, and man, cupcake fruit for real. Anybody that got one, just know I want one. Anyways, moving on. So yeah, a lot of posts about agriculture. So this one here just was like a post I shared from someone, where is it say keep away from people who equate farm with poverty. Farm is business, farm is wealth, farm is money. The world of modern agriculture is filled with innovation, technology, and entrepreneurship, which creates sustainable and prosperous future. You could see where the image come from as well, agribusiness media. Moving on. These is some bananas which are in the garden by my grandmother's yard. So I shared a video of the various banana plants which have bunches, which right now basically all of them have bunches. All of them have bunches are out already drop, and I harvest one before I went Boneo, like the day before literally. I was there the other day and I was checking out, like I have a few that I have to harvest again. So maybe like this upcoming week I gonna have to cut down at least another two bunches. But as you can see, it's at least like five plants. All of them have bunches on them, and yeah. Anyways, let me not carry on too much. Yeah, this is a snippet of the same agriculture video where I talk about the nutrients that I share, that I use. This is a video of some plantain that I had harvest, which I sold. Like, these actually came from like a lady I'll consider like a aunt of mine. She has a good bit of plantain in her yard as well, and a nice breed. I love it. Like the plantain big like my forearm, like humongous, humongous. I was very proud to be the one to harvest that and be the one to take it to the market, sell it, and so on, so on. Anyways, moving on. Like I say, video of after. So this was August 14th. They had a hurricane that had passed around then, but it didn't like hit land, but it was very windy and we get a lot of wind and it threw down the plantain. And me and my father doctor it. As you could see, we like literally put like pieces of wood to like kind of hold the body firm because it had like bent up and thing, and put like little put string and rope to hold it up and thing, tie it up to the coconut tree there next to it, like, because as you could see, the bunch was already coming out, so we do that to kind of save it, which it didn't really mature much, but at least we still get something out of it, so that was positive. It wasn't for nothing. Like I say, I'll picture me after I harvested some cashews, which at this very moment, that cashew tree has flowers on it soon to be producing again. So, like I say, abundant. Like I say, pineapple, which I harvested, which as you can see, this pineapple I harvest, but it sent out another pop or like another head. So, although I harvest that, the plant's still there because this next head come out and now that's like a whole new head that going to send out a whole new pineapple, and like down the line we get a whole new pineapple after that, which yeah, this one had multiple, so you could see it had another one underneath. I think this one had three. So what I do, I left the biggest one and then I took off the two smaller ones and put them in some water so they could catch themselves, and then I planted them. Right now they planted. So those other two, I transplant them already. They already like catch themselves, and I prepare them so I could transplant them. They're already planted in the ground close to where these other ones planted. Like I say, bunch of figs. These are some mushrooms, so some might not be familiar, but they have a lot of different varieties of mushrooms. These are some lion's mane mushrooms, and then this one here, the yellow and gray and pink, are oyster mushrooms. So pink oyster, blue oyster, and gold oyster mushrooms, which are different breeds. Those are locally grown from a company here called Rooted in SXM. They currently have a decent gourmet mushroom operation, which I think they have expanded to chestnut mushrooms now as well. And yeah, like I say, I purchased from them. I really like the product. I like their advertising and marketing, their customer service. Very, very nice company. Big up Sharon and Max one time. As I mentioned earlier, I had shared this video talking about carbon farming, you know, which is a climate solution under our feet. Which, as you could see, I put a caption saying regenerative agriculture is what will save us from global warming and save our planet. And as you could see, that was posted April last year, 2024. And basically, like I mentioned, the video touched on how plants are able to pull, sequester carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, from the pull these global warming gases, the greenhouse gases and all these things, pull these toxins from out of the atmosphere into the plant and down into the roots, so it can be sequestered down into the earth, so it's not harmful to us, and also provide oxygen for us to breathe, which I have to touch on that point about a week ago. So let me say it straight like this. I returned from Bonea on Sunday, and Monday I had a friend of mine who he came to visit St. Martin, and he actually left on that same Monday. So, he came the Friday and left on the Monday. So, being as I was away, we tried to organize logistics for me to catch him before he leaves. So, on the Monday, he came to visit before he had to go airport and catch his his airline. And of course, it was good vibes. Nice to meet up. We didn't see each other in a while. So he's originally from Totola, but he lives in the U.S. We know each other from college. So since college days, we haven't seen each other. Here and there, we'll stay in touch. We'll communicate, but haven't seen each other. So it was a nice vibe, nice breath of fresh air to kind of see each other after so long. And like I say, he came to visit, and of course, it was big vibes, big up and thing. Like, yeah, good to see you and thing. But one thing, we start walking, and I was like, don't mind the hibiscus, cause the hibiscus plant was like kind of a little overgrown, so it was like out in the pathway. So I was like, yeah, watch nothing with the hibiscus, gotta trim it a little bit so that could clear the walkway and thing. Chicken, don't worry about that. That's good. You checking like that's that's clean air. That's the words he used. He said that's clean air. And then like long story short, we was there with vibes and thing. I ended up giving him like a few different things to go back with, like some lemongrass, some paracetamol plant, because for those who don't know, those paracetamol pills that you're taking come from a plant. You check everything. Everything come from a natural substance. Let me put it like that. Bam. But yeah, give him some lemongrass, some paracetamol. His girlfriend raved about the moringa. Checking, wow, you got so much moringa here. I want something. I checking like, girl, if you want, you could go with the whole tree. That specific plant is like right by my door, and we chop that down to the stump so much time because we have like other moringa plants around the yard and around the garden, and it's like moringa is so invasive. Like that's something you plant one tree, and by the time you check stock, you got 100 right there in that area. So for me, I check, yo, you could go with a whole tree. But long story short, he made a comment that, like like the environment that I live in is like a tranquil serenity, and you know like I say, he made a mention about the clean air and those things, and it stood out to me because, like I say, for me personally, I know the therapeutic benefits of like having a garden, being around that environment and those things. But to hear it from somebody else, that what you got going on here is good, and like I say, he checking like just the serenity and the tranquility and the nice vibes, the positive vibrations in the atmosphere around here in this environment, was he checking like, bye, yeah, he like it, the positive vibes, and yeah, that what it about. Like when you got trees planted around your house, you go outside, you could breathe clean. You don't gotta worry about all this pollution that they got in the atmosphere. How much with a factory, even here locally, they say St. Martin is the highest polluted, like, air pollution country in the Caribbean. Why? Because we got such high tourism industry, and also, I ain't gonna lie, I'd be absorbing GB power plant cold way. I'd watch the smog leaving the stack and all of that, checking like, they have other countries, whereas companies, they have stacks, they have like filters in the stack to lessen the we say the CO2 gas emissions and the greenhouse gases. But so we go, what we gonna do. But anyways, moving on, like I mentioned, a lot of different things I share here. So this is, I was part of an agriculture class. So this is me and some of the other members on the last day, whereas we took some pictures of some of the harvest, some of the bok choy and different things that we harvested. So on that day, we kind of had like a final meetup, and we did like a food, like a potluck, let's say. Everybody brought something, and we did a nice little cook up. Everything vegetarian. So I'll be honest, for me, I like my meat. So for me, that was a little difference, but I really enjoyed it. Everything was nice. They had like this. Aha, ambiance nice, yes. Big up Fredo one time. Big up yourself one time, cause. And yeah, like I say, they had this one specific dish that stood out to me. Two of them. I mean, really be honest. So the two people in the front, Sasha came with a zucchini spaghetti. And I ain't gonna lie, I would have swear it's pasta self. Let me just tell you like that. But then also the next lady here standing next to her, Esther. Big up Esther and Sasha one time. Shout out. Esther came with a beet salad. So think on like potato salad. So not like green salad. Think on like potato salad but with beets. And me, I am man, I don't eat beets. From young, you could ask my parents, I don't eat beets. You know? You get me eat beets, you're a blessed person. I'll tell you like that. So I'll say Esther's a blessed person because she gave me to eat beets on that day, and I ain't gonna lie, it was good. I gotta rate it. But yeah, anyways, like I say, various thing, like I'll share the link so you could, if you interested, go on the page, just take a browse, see what all I've been sharing. But also I will be posting more stuff. So like I say, this was the setup for that day. So various different all vegetarian dishes. Anyways, to kind of move on, I want to mention the DC Alpha. So this is the organization that hosted the agricultural conference that I went to in Bonea. And yeah, basically, and during that trip, they launched their website, and this is the website that they launched. So I'll dive a little more into it. So as you can see, it says Dutch Caribbean Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries Alliance. You know, as you can see, it says a platform for growth, innovation, and sustainability. And continuing on, it has their mission and their vision. You can see it have a farmer from St. Kitts, if I'm not mistaken. No, 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 no. This one from Stacia. Apologies. Gentleman from Stacia, remember. And him there with his nice big watermelon and thing. Watch your face. Watch the happiness on your face. How could you not be happy when you see, okay, I plant a little watermelon seed about so big, and then in 3 months, look at the size of thing I got holding in my hand, maybe kilo. Man, moving on. Moving on. So they have a lot of information. So if you go on their website, you could kind of find information about like export database if you want to learn more information on like maybe a disease that you're facing, or maybe anything like nutrient and fertilization, and different things. They talk about the different sectors, and they have a library, and then they have it separated by island. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the about section, so you could get an idea of what they're about. So as you can see, about us, DC Alpha is a regional initiative to foster the 6 Dutch Caribbean agriculture, livestock and fisheries sectors. The members include the governments and public entities of Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, St. Eustatius, Saba, and St. Martin, the 6 Dutch Caribbean islands. So as you can see, the mission is dedicated to promote sustainable agricultural practices, enhancing livestock health and productivity, and ensuring the responsible management of fisheries in the Dutch Caribbean. They aim to support local farmers, livestock owners, and fishers, and local communities through education, innovation, and collaboration. That's a mission. So, bottom line, in a nutshell, the DC Alpha is there to promote food security, which is two things: enhancing the economy, so helping people get into business and promote whatever business they want to do, promoting entrepreneurship and all these different things. So, like business and financial education, but also, of course, food production. So, food security, most people might think is just growing food, but it has a lot more under that umbrella. It deals with like amending policies and fixing things. So, for instance, like how I mentioned, the policy to safeguard local farmers and local produce in lessening import. Yeah, like Fredo say, especially with a piece of land he got there, who wouldn't? Exactly. When you talk about 50 acres, 50 hectares in Bonaire and thing, land there. So, yeah, as you can see what they do, so I can talk about their vision as well, but yeah, what they do, advocate for like policy amendments, like I say, provide education and training, communication and awareness raising. So reaching out to the community, bringing awareness to them of what's going on, and let's say if the community want to do something, promote it, and all these different things. Research and innovation, which I touched on, which is one of the problems we face here in St. Martin with having like data and information on the agricultural sector. you know Community engagement, which is like it says, connecting with your community, and yeah, project collaboration, and working on different projects. You know what we DC Alpha wants to achieve: enhance food security, which is improve food security for the Dutch Caribbean islands by increasing local production, regional trade, and reducing dependence on long distance imports. So, like I said, food security is not just planting and producing food in your local community, in your country. It also has to do with, like it says, regional trade, which is partnering with other islands. So for those people who feel like DC Alpha is only for Dutch Caribbean islands, that is not true. It is promoting regional trade and regional partnership to advance the agricultural sector on a whole, whether it is with Dominica, whether it's with St. Vincent, with St. Lucia, with Santo Domingo, with Turks and Caicos, wherever it is, partnering regionally to advance our agricultural sectors. Because how it is, I might be trying to do something, but then you do it already, so you might be able to provide some insight and knowledge that could help me ease my way down this road. Same likewise, maybe I have something that you need that you don't have. Let's say maybe you in a place where you can't get mangoes or plantain, and you checking, okay, I have. We could create a trade agreement so that I could provide you with that. Maybe we'll make it an agreement that you have maybe fish, and we could trade fish for mangoes and plantain. So it's all about advancing things, and creating collaborations and connections. So you advance things within your borders, but also advance things regionally so that you can be safeguarded. Because, like I keep saying, Irma and COVID show us how things would be if we cannot import. If the ships have to stop coming, look, with all this tariff war and everything too going on, the price of everything gone up. Like I just say, everything gone up except for your salary. So if I have a space and I could grow, let me say maybe sweet potato, or let me make it even easier, sweet pepper. And I know every day I cooking, I going in the shop having to buy sweet pepper. I spending maybe $5-10 every other day on sweet pepper. I could grow that in my yard, and in the next month, 2 months, I got sweet pepper coming. I don't have to go buy that in the shop. That has more money in my pocket. You check, but people don't look at these things like that. People just checking, man. I gonna have to maintain that. I gonna have to go water that, and that a lot of work and da, 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 da. But honestly, it's not that much work on a small scale, and really and truly, the benefits that come out of it after is way more abundant than the negatives or the unwanted labor or strain. So anyways, I digressed. As I mentioned, they want to achieve, we want to achieve, all of us want to achieve. So even me, you all, we want food security. We want that food is accessible, meaning anywhere I go I could get it. It's affordable, it's not too overpriced. So when I go in the shop and I see a hand, a banana, the pricing gone up double since the last time I went. All these things is food security, economic growth. Like I say, creating entrepreneurship, creating business owners within your economy. So supporting local producers and building robust value chains so that persons who want to take this initiative and create an actual genuine agricultural business has the infrastructure, the road, so that they can pass. Youth empowerment, trying to get more youths involved in the agricultural sector, and showing them that it's not just hard work and labor, especially with technology. Technology advanced things so much that Now they have a lot of advancement and automation within agriculture, so now you don't have to go and pull hose and go every day and pull tank and talk about you whether fertilizing or spraying pesticides, organic pesticides. you know Now everything is streamlined, everything is the processes are a lot easier now. Technology has come and advanced things significantly, like I talk about in my agri loan session. The future of agriculture is not in the future, it is here. Whereas they got like drones now watering your plants, they have robots going checking your soil health, your plant health, harvesting your fruit when it ready. So it literally like checking the fruit as it progress, making sure it know when it ready at the optimal level, and harvesting it for you, bringing it into your production booth, whether it's your room where it is, process your stuff, and even processing it for you, putting it in a box so that it's ready to ship out to the customer. That now all you gotta do now is come, pick up the box, go deliver it. Or even better, they even have drones and things that delivering packages, which I see a company that went to market in the US market, that's what they're doing. They're working on like the logistics and their policies and regulations in regards to using the airspace and thing. But a lot of advancement, so showing the youths them that they have a lot of advancement, and it ain't just hard work, and trying to get the youth more involved. And like I say, sustainable practices, doing things in a more sustainable manner, trying to advance and promote the combating of climate change and global warming. Well, right now global boiling, it has been advanced too, but yeah, just building a resilient community. Like I say, St. Martin, for sure, we are resilient people, but bottom line, trying to advance that and make us more resilient and advance our resources so we could stand firm and stand strong on we own in the face of any adversity, anything that come that try and knock us down, like armor, like COVID, like I say, these tariffs even now is something financially could keep us down, but all these things is things that we need to work on our resilience. Hey, good night, DTM Jacqueline, Jackie B. Big up yourself one time. Moving on, like I touched on credits, so I showed the picture of me. If I could close this, making sure everybody could hear me, because I was saying about it using my microphone and I ain't want no mishaps. So I close that tab there quick. Anyways, moving on, like I showed earlier in the session tonight, I was the person who presented the credits agri loan info session. So the idea with the info session was to see who are enthusiastic about agriculture, to see who are already in agriculture, who already have businesses in agriculture, and who would be interested in receiving a loan from credits to advance or start up their agricultural business. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I had to touch on the fact that most people, when they think agriculture, they think only planting, only crops. But agriculture encompasses a lot more than that. But we're going to dive into that a little bit more. So, as mentioned, credits is now offering a agri loan, which is a business loan. So specifically for businesses, so an individual cannot just go and apply for the loan. You'll have to, if anything, go and register as a sole proprietor before you can go and register or apply for this business loan. And it's up to $50,000 US for starting and existing entrepreneurs in the agricultural sector. This loan is made possible in collaboration with the government of St. Martin. So, for those people who saying the government ain't doing nothing for agriculture, they're making things happen. I gotta be honest. I gotta be honest. And yeah, right now, like it says, the aim is to stimulate the agricultural sector on the island in the form of providing a financing at a 2% interest rate, which is amazing. When you go to the bank is maybe like 12, 14% when you want to get a loan. When you go to, okay, even comparing other loans is like 9.95%. So if you have another business, whether like maybe solar or tech or whatever other type of business not in the agricultural sector that you want to start, credits are for loans for those too. They've been had that. And like I say, the percentage for that is 9.95. Yeah. And like I say, you go any other place, it's probably going more around 10. Maybe if you're lucky, you might hear like a 8%. Like if you go like to like a personal, like a friend or so, maybe you could get a little more ease. Like maybe they might tell you like, okay, give me 5% or so, like somebody that really know you that know you're going to pay them back, you know would maybe give you a little blight, you know but 2%, 2% is amazing. Like nowhere you go you gonna hear 2% for a loan. So no matter how people turn it and twist it, that is a positive vibe, a positive, you know promotion or undertaking. And how I see it, it is in the benefit of people. Some people might say like, yeah, it's a loan, it should have been a subsidy or a grant, but uh, yeah, for the agricultural sector in other places, yes, you can get grants and subsidies for the agricultural sector, but no, this is not it. Like I tell you, the state of the agricultural sector in St. Martin right now does not cannot account for that, cannot allow for that, in a sense of it don't even have the structure, it don't even have the proper framework for the agricultural sector, and let me say governmental, coming down from governmental to you know community level. How now you're gonna say, yeah, government should just be giving people money? They don't even know who to give the money to, if that's the case. You check. So like I say, the info session was to gather and assess who interested in agriculture, who doing it, and so on. So yeah, data is a factor. So going back to the point at hand, like I say, agri loan are offered by credits, which I am and was the person giving the info session, and now the loan has finally been rolled out and being made available. Now, to for better understanding how it works is, you would have to attend the there is a course or agricultural business academy which you're required to take. And how it is, it's basically a course that empowers you, the entrepreneur, the business owner. It helps you with courses on taxation and managing your money and getting yourself set up, your business structure, all kind of different varying things. And then yeah, it basically empowers you as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, so that once you get a loan, once you start a business, you now have a little more tools in your tool belt, you're a little more knowledgeable, you're a little more strong, you know? So, honestly, personally, I going through this process, even though I am the one doing the info session. I applying and going through the process just like anybody else. Don't feel like, yeah, Oliver do the info session so he can get a little, you know, better treatment. Nah, nah. So look, okay, look. Pause for cause. Pause for cause. So on the Facebook side, Miss Rich mentioned that the by St. Dominic High School, which is my alma mater, big up St. Dominic one time. They have a hydroponic garden, mm-hmm, where they have lettuce, bok choy, and celery. You know, now in the essence of time, I moved on from DC Alpha, but since it was mentioned, let me go back to the DC Alpha webpage, and as you can see, they have it separated by islands as well, so you could see what each island is doing within the sector. So as you could see, St. Martin, and don't worry, it might look empty here in this first picture, but this is just to show you before and after. So they have, other pictures when you go down, you could see like how full it been, how, things that happening, the start, how things progressing. But going back up, it shows you what let me say where the governmental apparatus stands where agriculture is concerned. It goes on to talk about the framework and the roadmap that has been taken, so these different things that has been done already. So as you can see, research paper, MOU with sorry, for DC Alpha Self, train the trainer, hydroponic system, which was launched this year, which is what Miss Rich is mentioning. So keep in mind, this is launched by the government of St. Martin. I just have to throw that in there because a lot of people that say government ain't doing nothing, but things happening, Maybe not on the scale that we would want it, but you gotta start somewhere. Just like I keep saying, just like a seed, you start from a little seed. Once you get nurtured and watered, you grow into a humongous tree, bigger than 2, 3 stories, 4 stories tall, and all these things. So Trainer Hydroponics is a project that was started by the Ministry of Education in collaboration with the Ministry of TIAT, which is a pilot project to get students and faculty trained on using the hydroponic systems that was introduced here. So covered, provided by the government, and it shows you the various schools that the systems were built in. So as mentioned, St. Dominic High School, boop, 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 big up my alma mater one time. And I could say for sure Asher Stevens, which is Hillside Christian School, they have a good greenhouse there for sure too. I personally do some work by them, not on that, not in an agricultural capacity. I did a installation of a smart board there by them when I was in one of my previous tenors, work experience. And yeah, I could say by Asher Stevens, they're doing good things there too. But yeah, I gotta pick up my alma mater for sure one time. But it shows you the different schools that these projects have been implemented in. But the idea is not to say like only in schools. It started in the schools, but once it starts developing, firstly starting in the schools, I always love because when you start with kids, kids are more open to learning. They're more like sponges, willing to receive, as opposed to us as adults. But also the children will make the adults learn. So when the child goes to school and he learns something, I say the same thing for Claude Javois and his Green Dream Project initiative, whereas he's doing a recycling project, and St. Martin, whereas he started within the schools. And how it is, let's be honest, it can start from the child, but then the child can say, you know what? Let me say, like the recycling. The child in school separating plastic, aluminum, so on. The child practicing this in school. When the child come home now, at home they ain't doing that. They just throwing everything in the garbage. Eventually the child gonna be checking, but mommy in school I just separate things. And then the child can harass you till tutus at home you start recycling too. So it's the same thing. Like you start in the schools, you train the children, cause you're trying to get the youths involved, of course, but also, like I say, the faculty, the parents in turn going to end up getting involved because the students going to promote them too. So I feel like doing things like that is a real holistic approach. And even me doing different landscaping work I see the enthusiasm in like younger kids, like maybe 10, 11, 12. Like I do some landscaping cleanup by a foster home there. And the children them, as soon as they leave school and they come home and they see the idea, they change their clothes and they outside with me. And like I say, you could see the enthusiasm. So I could tell you for sure, things happening. Like I say, they're doing this. It shows the different projects they're doing. So you see the different phases. They have the agri loan program here. So you see it's coming in Q2, which we in Q2 now. So that needs to be updated. And most of it is like agricultural research and those type of initiatives. Same, like I say, I went through the breakdown for credits. But yeah, I'll share the link so anybody interested could also dive more deeper into that. Um, Moving on, I just want to share this PowerPoint I did for the agriculture info session, which, yeah, as you can see, this is the PowerPoint presentation I provided to the participants for the info session. And yeah, this is what it was about: cultivating our future. That's what we gotta do. So I started with a table of content, of course, which just saying this is local dragon fruit flower. This from my neighbor. Good. Most of these things here is local. This from a box I had get from Denicio Wyatt. This is my local dragon fruit. I just want go too quick. I want to show you this too. I had to end it with me and my bunch of Pluto. Yeah. But anyways, so what I really covered for this info session is mainly talking about the business aspect of agriculture. So like getting people more into the understanding business and thinking like entrepreneurial as opposed to just as a hobbyist. And kind of debunk the thoughts or myths that agriculture is only gardening. So for instance, let me touch on that a little more. In this section I talk about understanding agriculture, whereas I talk about the types of agricultural businesses. So of course, as we know, crop farming is one. That's the most prominent one. Whereas people plant things, but livestock farming and fisheries also fall under agriculture. So if you got chickens, if you got goats, if you got pigs, if you got rabbits, whatever it is. Like I mentioned in when I was in Borneo and even in the last episode, they had a man when we was down there who had a ranch. He had everything. And whatever your mind could think on animal wise, he had it. I telling you. Like I said, peacock, like parakeet, parrot, like I you name it. I want to go through that whole list. Telling you, he had it. Agribusiness, which I mentioned that agribusiness is like the whole supply chain. So like they say, from farm to table, that's where agribusiness comes. So that's everything commercial. So that's even marketing your business. That's, let me say, if you use a landscaper on the side of the road that, cleaning the yards or whatever it is, all of that fall under agribusiness. Moving on, agritourism, which is like giving tours to people that want to visit, whether you land or if you have like a facility, whereas like you have a business, so like an actual operation. So for instance, I mentioned in St. Vincent they have from farm to table cane rum tour at the distillery. So they show you the cane growing, they show you them harvesting it, processing it. Then they have a store you could do tasting, and then you could buy and whatnot. Even like how I mentioned when I went to Bonio, they had a Kadushi distillery, which was rum from cactus, which was shocking to me. But all of that is agro business, agro tourism, because it's like you set up your operation, but now you have people coming and visiting and taking pictures and tasting and all of these things. All of these things fall under agriculture. Gourmet farming. A lot of people, gourmet mushroom farming. Apologies. A lot of people not familiar with that one, but like I mentioned earlier in this episode, they have some persons locally that doing this, that they growing oyster mushrooms, they growing lion's mane mushrooms, chestnut mushrooms. They got so much different variety of mushrooms you could grow, and the mushrooms have so much health benefits. It ain't even funny. Like, it's amazing how much health benefits they have. Like, real talk, you know. And all these things is business that we could do. I talk about organic farming, so people specifically checking, they want to use nothing synthetic, they want, nothing that harmful to your body, harmful to the earth, which I agree with that all totally. Things like hydroponics, like we talk about, even vertical farming, whereas they have like towers, 1 square foot could grow 40 to 52 plants. So here in St. Martin, one thing people say is, yeah, they ain't got no land for agriculture, but that's a lie. They have land available. Maybe not government, but they have land available for agriculture, you know? And it's just now to find the people, because is like persons in a community who have land that they're willing to use for agriculture. So bottom line, it have, it's just to make it possible, to make it make sense for people, that people can be open to going down that route. So meaning, make a proper agreement for, whereas the landowner, have something to say, something to show. It ain't just out of the kindness of the heart. Or even if it is, that some type of agreement that is feasible for both parties, the landowner and, let me say, the government, and the farmers, who then would be the persons that getting the land to use. But even if we saying, okay, don't have the land available, vertical farming is an option. You could use the minimal land you have and you could maximize it out. So instead of you getting one plant a square foot, or one plant every 2 to 3 feet, or 5 to 10 feet, depending on what you're planting, you could now get 40 to 15 1 square foot. So you can't tell me you can't maximize with that. All you gotta do is dial it in, because they have a lot more technological aspect to it. But once you get through that learning curve, you're good to go. You pumping out produce, pumping out food like joke. You check. It just, people gotta see it makes sense. People gotta see it doable. People gotta see it feasible. So I guess all of that is why here on. Trying to show people like, look, agriculture makes sense. Agriculture and St. Martin is happening in a thought or in a future hope. This is what's going on right now. Yes, they have future plans and vision for the future, which we have to have. But no, 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 things happening. So I guess this is me trying to wake up and shake up people, reignite that fire under people, fire under your foot. I am, to show you like, look, things happening. You could do it. Money there. Don't feel like it's just hard work and no financial or you know no income or revenue generated from it. Like once you organize yourself properly, once you set up things properly, you good. Agriculture is abundant, forever giving, keep giving back. It keeps on going like a cycle. The world is a cycle now. I, I said it last week and I say it again. The world is a cycle, like Richie Spice say. And everything just come back wrong in a circle. And until we could understand that, until we could really start creating like circular economies and circular systems, we can just forever keep hemorrhaging money and just keep throwing money down the road, down the water, down away. Period. So yeah. I here to wake up people, show people like, look, agriculture is it, and I always sing in agriculture, and that's why I say for this podcast, agriculture is not gonna be the theme of it. Because I could talk about agriculture all night. Look, I done 9 o'clock already and I'm still going. But don't worry, I wrapping up. Don't worry, have no fear. But yeah, that shows like the seriousness of things. So as I mentioned, I talk about the different types of agriculture, the different opportunities within the agricultural sector, let me say. Then I talked about planning your business, so the importance of putting together your business plan. I touched on the different elements which I elaborated on. I talked about accounting for government taxation and policies and regulations and all these things. So like I mentioned, in my opinion, when you compile your business plan, you know your business from before you even started. Once you put together a nice outlined business plan, everything fall in place. It come like a checklist that is just like, okay, this is what I need to do now next. Okay, I do that. Okay, check that off the list. Oh, okay, I need to buy this next. Okay, check that off the list. By the time you check stock and you check, your whole business running and it ready for your 5 year vision, if you understand. So meaning like by the time you start out in the first year and you do everything that you say you want to do in your business plan, by the time you check stock, it's on cruise control, everything just running smooth and money just coming in, and you just gotta make sure maintain. Check, good. All of that I talk about. I checking, okay. Now you make your business plan. Okay, part of it is doing your market research. I talk about that, SWOT analysis, your surveys, all these things. Funding your business, which everybody checking, yeah, credits. But I talk about different ways, which is, personal savings if you have anything, save up for yourself. Government grants or subsidies, which we don't have that here right now, but still have to trade there. Loans from financial institutions like banks and credits, that's where everybody checking credits. I talked about crowdfunding, which is like GoFundMe. Most people would be familiar with GoFundMe, but even like YouTube content, like how I mentioned earlier, I plan to put together a video of my garden and my vision and my plans. You'll be surprised at amount of people making money or getting financing free, granted, like free money, just because they make a YouTube video and talk about like that. Let me say like that. So I've seen videos on YouTube whereas people just put together a quick video talking about their garden, checking, yeah, this is where my garden is right now. I need this, whether irrigation, my plans is to add this and that, and this is what I want to do moving forward. But I don't have the funding necessary. You'll be surprised how much people just get emotionally invested in that alone. And checking, you know what? I can send that person a little change. And then by the time you check stock, you maybe needed 20,000. But by the time you really get everything, you get 200,000 because it start like a wildfire. One person send 20, next person send 100, bam, bam, bam. By the time you check stock, money in the bank account, you could progress. You check? Crowdfunding is a seriously powerful thing. And yeah, like I say, I talk about budgeting and cost estimation, so when you got your plans, when you want to maybe build your structures and whatever, you got to make sure, estimate costs beforehand, put together a budget so that you know what you got to spend. Yeah, you got to account for miscellaneous, of course, so things that might vary. Inflation might increase prices, whatever, but you gotta put together a budget. And then yeah, talk about managing your money, which I feel is the most important thing. Like, one key thing I mentioned in that is a lot of people, maybe they start a business or maybe they start selling, let me say, like juice, local juices. They make $100 this week. They check it, wow, make some good money this week, by they want to go out, spend all the money, blow the whole $100. Now you can't continue your business. But no, I talk about how, okay, look, you could still get your instant gratification, because instant gratification is what kill a lot of businesses, not just in the agricultural sector. But I talk about, okay, if you know, for you to get back your stocks to continue your business cost $50, save your 50, maybe save an extra 10, so you can at least say, you save something, and go up with your 40. You still get your instant gratification, and you still continue your business, you know. But most people that I know, or most people I see, they make the money and they just get happy and they go squander it. They check it, wow, I make that money so fast. Or maybe it wasn't even fast, but they make the money and they check it, wow, I make that money, I put in that work, so now they're gonna go and spend it because they work hard. And yeah, I understand all of that now, but sometimes you gotta sacrifice, you know just throwing out there. Anyways, moving on. Like I say, I touch on a lot of things. Setting up your business. Once you set up your business, making sure you operate and manage your business, marketing your business, challenges that's faced, future trends. Like I say, I talk about the drones coming, watering or administering pesticide. Like you could see, they have a little robot here coming, picking these like tomatoes and thing. Same for this robot arm harvesting these lettuce and things. So honestly, agriculture has advanced significantly. So I had this call to action, and you can't really get to read it now because how I had it formalized for like the transitions, and how the nicey thing go. But what I had says, the future of agriculture is in our hands. Let's cultivate it wisely. That's the quote I left the class with, the participants with, And I show them, like, look, once we follow this 4-step plan, which is plan and research, so you come up with your idea, you're checking, okay, this is what I want to do, so develop it, work on it, research how to get it, what's pricing, whatever, research, put your plan together, create your business plan. So once you start doing your research, you're gaining the information to put in your business plan anyway. Then execute your plan. Once you got your business plan, once you do all this research, you know what you want to do. So just now do it. Like Nike said, just do it. And then yeah, once you start it, once you get it up off the ground, maintain it, grow it, and manage it. So once you do that, then you could be harvesting nice big bunch like this too, or whatever it is you checking you want to do, whether it's agriculture, I mean dragon fruit, wherever it be you checking you want to do, you could do it. You could do it. Ten me alone, ten. Jabash alone thing, Dinicio alone thing, whoever other farmer locally that you know, thing just there. You could do it too, you know. So it's just the drive and the passion, you know. That's the long and short, you know. So to kind of close out and start to wrap up, like I mentioned here in St. Martin, things happening. They have an agricultural sector in St. Martin. Despite we don't have the framework and the structure necessary, or let me say like other neighboring or regional islands and countries. Cool. But we still have potential and opportunity. But like I say, our potential is not just from ground up, is coming from a foundation. We don't have a foundation. We don't have things happening, things doing, you know. So it's just now for us to build on it and expound on it, you know. So like I mentioned, our problem here in St. Martin is data. We don't have the data. So let me say, like I say, if government checking, okay, well in St. Martin it got a bunch of mango trees, so for sure we could stop import of mangoes. But we don't know who all have mango trees, how much mangoes they get in, how much mangoes they could go and sell to the supermarkets or whatever market they put it on, you know. So it lacking the data and the information. So currently I've been talking to my farmer friends since I come back. I've been like hitting the ground running, and I've been showing them like, look, we gotta gather data. First thing first, I like I said, I've been putting together a database or a list, a farmers list of all the people I know who in agriculture who like farming. So if you know you like it and you don't think you're on the list, or if you know somebody that you think should be on the list, reach out to me. Let me know. That's front side and dot side, so it's not specified. St. Martin on a whole, front side and dot side. So I liga them. Let me put it like that so they could understand better. You know, and with that list now you get an idea of who are doing what, you know, who doing it, who really serious about it, and who doing what. Because then now you get to understand from these people what they have planted, what they've been planting. But also now I've been promoting these farmers and my friends who agriculturalists, enthusiasts, to start recording what you get. So let me say like, if you know you harvest a bunch of banana, wait. If you know you harvest some sweet potato, wait, keep record. If you know you want to sell something, keep record. You check? Because now, thinking about nobody trying to get in your business or trying to see what you're doing and tax man will come for you. Nah. This is about information and data so we could have something to move forward. You check, this have nothing to do with tax man, this have nothing to do with really and truly the governmental apparatus on a whole. This is agricultural sector and getting our agricultural sector up and running on a sustainable basis. Yeah, big up Flo, big up Moesha Williams one time. Greetings, welcome. Here talking about agriculture. Yeah, straight. About 2 hours straight now. Tell you I could talk about that all day. Passion. It's in my heart. Thing just talk. Like a lot of other people is for over the years. I ain't gonna lie, I understand that the agricultural sector, the agriculturalists, the farmers on St. Martin have gotten bad treatment, have been, how to say, like have been got neglected. That's the perfect way to put it, you know? Perfect way to put it. You know, the agricultural realm has gotten neglected over the years from since maybe 1990s. People coming talking about agriculture and things still ain't progress, you know. But I could say for a fact, that is a fact. But no, I could say 2025, things moving in the agricultural sector for St. Martin. At least that side. Front side, they got things set up, and now we gotta increase our collaborations, our liaison, and and working together with the friend side. But apart from that, now we need to get we self in order, as dot side say Martin. So that's why we need data, we need to know what going on, we need to know who doing what, so we could know, okay, if things come about and let we say, okay, well, like I say, St. Martin don't have planting growing and we have enough that we could sustain St. Martin. Policy could be put in place to stop import of planting. But you need to know the data, you need the information to know who got what, that we say government could come to, that we say me, Oliver, go to Joe, go to Moesha, go to Fredo and say, okay, well look, you is the planting farmers and say Martin, we're going to put together this policy so that we could lessen the import or stop the import of plantain. So we need to know that you could sustain St. Martin for the foreseeable future. And once everybody agree, then bam, policy in place, everybody making money, the island and community getting fresh, you know, high nutrient dense produce and food, which you is positive for the whole community, for the business sector, which the agriculturalist entrepreneur making money, the consumer, the community getting good high quality food to eat, which is going to combat the health crisis we face in here in St. Martin. The shop making money too, and at least they're making it not half a we backs selling us low quality things for high price, or even selling us low quality thing for cheap, whereas that's what most people has run to. And you're just safeguarding things on multiple levels. You see, look, just today I was talking to Mr. James. He got property and water in place, but our our lady did nothing. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, at the end of the day, like I say, land is available. And you see, look, anybody who's saying, yeah, nothing ain't going on in agriculture and St. Martin, you see a comment coming in. Property ready, water in place for it already. It's just now to cultivate, activate it. But, you know, just gotta get it going. People gotta get serious in a sense of, like I keep saying, people on St. Martin just gotta see it make sense. Like they gotta see government really doing something, not to even to say like giving money or giving nothing, but just to see like they actually doing something within the sector that is like, okay, if I get into it, it will be lucrative, it will make sense for me to get into it. And yeah, like I say, with the data now, we could make things happen, because like it was mentioned earlier, um like it was mentioned earlier about land availability, and somebody was mentioning if government can make land available for persons who, for farmers or persons who interested. But like I say, if government don't even know who farming, if government don't even know who doing what they doing, on what level, who could actually do it on a large scale, a sustainable business level that they could scale up, why put yourself in government shoes. If you have your child and you're checking your child ain't serious, your child ain't really showing no interest in that sector, why you going to go and buy land and say, yeah, okay, well look, hold a piece of land, cultivate it? You probably gonna be thinking to yourself like, bye, I hope this ain't a waste, I hope my money ain't just squandered. So think of it now on a macro level. It's like, okay, let's be honest. On a governmental level, they ain't had no focus on agriculture. Now, I'll say positively and negatively, because they checking money making in tourism. So they need agriculture. But I would have said they could have sustained the agricultural sector still. because now, first of all, it's always good to have a backup, you know, but also now more than ever we need the agricultural sector, and the agricultural sector could bring another identity to our tourism sector. So it all goes hand in hand, you know, and truthfully, our tourism sector grow because of our agricultural sector. Because when these tourists come here, they come to see the culture. They come to see the culture St. Martin has to offer. They ain't come to see what America have. They ain't come to see what Europe have. They come to see what St. Martin people have, what St. Martin people does do, how we da live. They check it. We just conform we self to their ways and how they da live. That now people come in here and asking you straight up like, "Bye, what's St. Martin have to offer that's natural, that's not commercialized?" You know, and it's like, yo, we had everything, we had all of that, and we let it go to the dogs. You check, so yeah. Ironically, Tanti Flo, I actually put you on a list of farmers that I've been compiling. So just know things moving, man. Things moving, and like I say, people say like, yeah, well, if government going buy land and make land available, but it needs the framework, it needs the infrastructure. When I say that, I don't mean the road to drive on, but you know, it needs everything in place to know what going to happen so that you could reach to that level. Like these other countries, they good. They got the agriculture sector done in order from long time. You know, some of them been had agricultural sector, agricultural department from 1990s. So right now they could come with anything. They could give you anything. They could set up anything for you because they don't organize and they don't set up. But we ain't have ourselves set up properly. So we have to set up ourselves properly in order for us to make all these things available and all these niceties available for our community, you know? So that's a long and short of that. So let me say to you, jump on that, you know? I know you serious. So you meet with him, and at the end of the day, if they ain't serious and you know you're serious and they willing to deal with you, deal with it, you know? But yeah, yeah, things happening, you know. So like I say, the most important thing I guess out of this live today is research and information. We need data. We need data. We need to know who doing what they doing, and how they doing it, so that we could advance our agricultural sector based on actual facts, not somebody come do a research paper and they ain't really got all the data, so they just like kind of like fluff it, or you know, like you collect some, but then you don't get like the raw data, so then now you have to like kind of fabricate it. Not, I don't want to use the word fabricate because then that sound like you're making lies, you know, you're lying on the situation. But it's a situation like, if you don't have the information, if you don't have the data, you're gonna have to kind of project it. You're gonna kind of have to make an educated guess. So it's like I say, we here in St. Martin, we know, okay, well, consumer wise, the stores that sell 1,200 eggs a day, but now we don't know who growing chickens, who's selling eggs. So now we have to say, okay, well, all of us have eggs. He maybe have 20 chickens, and then this next one have 50, and this next one have 100, and then you gotta now compile that and say, okay, well, by average it could be this, you know. So instead of trying to get averages and kind of projections and trying to formulate the data, it's best to get it directly from the horse's mouth, from the source. You know, you deal with the people who doing it, so you could know who doing what, so you could advance that. You know, so I say all that to say agriculture in St. Martin. Yeah, yeah, we doing things in St. Martin. No matter what, no matter who, nobody say a what. Like, it has just shocked me and amazed me when people say things don't grow here, things can't grow here. Literally, guava berry was our identity for a long period of time, still kind of is. And as a plant. grown here. Thing to say like they import the guava berry from somewhere. Yeah, they could. They have places they could get it from, but these guava berry that they're using, that they have, cause they have the distillery still on the front side. Grown here. They have the farm. You could do the tour. You could still up to this day, June 2nd, 2025. You could still go Colombe and take a tour in the guava berry farm and see how it's done right here locally on St. Martin. So yeah, anybody who say things can't grow here, I can't agree with that. I'll debate that till the end of my days. If you want, we could have a formal debate. I'll set it up. We could make that happen. I don't have a debate organized about a different topic, about cash, a card. But yeah, we could make that happen because anybody who attest me on that, who come say about, yeah, things can't go here, yeah, things on the land, the dot ain't no good, yeah, all of it, all of it. Come, let we have a talk. We could sit down, public, however you want to do it. We could debate, yeah, straight up. So yeah, big up Avril, blessings, blessings. Big up yourself one time. You're welcome. But yeah. So I just wanted to share that with you all, and I guess kind of debunk those myths and those beliefs and those all of that good stuff. And yeah, just kind of try to show people the truth, show people the way, show people what really going on in St. Martin. So yeah, I can leave it there on enlightenment and adding information to the game and adding information to the podcast. I can, like I said, wrapping it up. Conclusion time. And the conclusion is things happening in agriculture. We making moves. Trust and believe. I got more to talk about in agriculture, but yeah, we're gonna have to make a later down episode because I think I'll come with some other content next episode next week, and then probably touch back on that afterwards. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining. Thanks everybody for tuning in, taking the time. I know I went overboard a little longer than expected today, which I've been honestly on a mission of kind of cutting back a little bit. But today was for a reason. Today had to be stated. Today had to go like this. So like I say, I hope it wasn't a bombardment of information, but I thank you all for tuning in, and I thank you for sharing your time and sharing this moment with me. Moment in time, whereas God brought us together to connect on this level, on this topic. So just wanted to give a little disclaimer moving forward. I thinking I might move solely to YouTube. Why? Because Facebook, just give me a little technicalities, technical difficulties when it ready. Kinda every week since I start, honestly. And truthfully, YouTube is kind of for that. Like it have the platform and the process is a lot more streamlined and a lot more easier to get your stream set up and all these different things. So yeah, thinking about it. Next week I'll do the both lives still, so I'll still have the Facebook, but trust me, have different benefits to me thinking about doing one side, which even when I start to do the interviews and so on, having only one live will help with like the bandwidth, so the workload on the computer on my machine. So a lot of factors I've been assessing and taking into consideration. So trust and believe me doing this or me moving forward with this is, once I do make that decision, it was well thought out, you know. So additionally, all the previous episodes, Facebook telling me they only have a set duration, not yeah, Facebook so tell me only 30 days it has last and then it'll delete. So it's like my idea was I would do it and then leave it stay there for forever, for the foreseeable future. But yeah, long story short, different factors make me say, you know what, I might just move solely to YouTube. But like I say, that will not be a next episode undertaking. Just wanted to bring you up to speed beforehand. But yeah, once again, thanks for the love, thanks for the support. I appreciate each and every one of you for joining and taking the time. And I promise you, joining this live all over it podcast, we will be uncovering it all. We will get down to the bottom of everything. It will always be informative, inspirational, intuitive, and just motivational, elevating. Once you come on this live, you must feel inspired and you must feel motivated to go out and conquer the world. So yeah, tell a friend to tell a friend. I hear every week straight, every Monday faithfully, consistently. All of that shows the consistency, which I have a message, motivational message about consistency and believing in yourself coming soon. But yeah, for today, for now, right now, I thank you. This is All Over It, episode 5, All Over It podcast, where we talk about agriculture all night. We didn't even do no real big intro. We didn't even do no motivational message. We just dive right into it. But the inspiration was within the content, within the topic. So for sure, you must have feel inspired. Must. If you didn't, go back and listen to it again. Maybe you miss it. But yeah, check it out. Check me out. We here live every Monday. If you don't catch none of the previous episodes or if you miss any, they live on YouTube. They are all posted on the YouTube channel. Let me correct myself. And yeah, all good content, everything. Each and every episode have its own essence and its own, positive message and positive motivation, positive content that was shared. So I ain't telling you or I ain't begging you to go and watch my thing, but if you want to gain some knowledge, if you're interested in getting some inspiration, check out the live and check out the podcast. It's gonna be well worth it, you know. If you don't have time for that, I appreciate you for doing it. Still, I appreciate you for coming on, checking out, for even seeing or hearing this voice here right now that coming out to you. Yeah, appreciate it. Love alone. Love and blessings. God's blessings to you all, each and every one of you for joining. I hope you have a blessed week ahead. Prosperity and positivity. And yeah, love. Love alone. Thank you. And this is the end of the All Over It podcast, episode 5. Thanks again for joining.